All right, House of the Dragon, season 2, episode 2. They promised us dragon fights. They promised us that this would be the start of the big war of the dragons. They promised us that after everything that happened in the first episode, now we were going to see everything get going and everything get started. And what happens? Absolutely, positively, nothing. So my reviews are not going to be point for point, action for action, reaction to every little thing that happened. It's more so my feelings about the episode because I like to tell you what I think without telling you everything that happens because I do want you to go back and watch it yourself. I also want to have a valuable conversation about movies today, about TV shows today, and about how they story tell because I love telling stories and I love reading stories. I read books, I watch TV, and I watch movies, and I love getting lost in these beautiful and fantastic worlds. And I love talking about it. So that is how standard reviews were born because I love to watch movies and I love to talk about them and TV shows and books and everything, video games, all that good stuff. I enjoy all of it. House of the Dragon, season 2, episode 2. What did I like about the episode? Let's jump right in and get into it. The first thing, number one, the first thing that I love about this particular episode is Otto Hightower, the Hand of the King. How he stood up to Aegon. Boy, I tell you what, Aegon was upset. Aegon was throwing a fit, and Otto Hightower stood his ground as the Hand of the King, exactly what a good hand should do. A hand should not be a pushover. A hand should not be a yes man. A hand should always be making sure that the king does what's best for the kingdom. And I believe that Otto Hightower did that in spades in this episode. He made sure he lost his job for it. He lost his job for it, but you know what? It was the right thing to do. He stood up to Aegon about the situation and what was going on because what really put it over the edge was after they found out that the baby had his head cut off, they put together a plan to do a funeral throughout the city so that they could garner support from the civilians and also from the people outside, from all the banner houses and things, make it hard for them to follow Rhaenyra after this injustice had been born. And it would have worked. It was a great idea. It was going to work. But when King Aegon found out that a rat catcher had helped them in the killing of his son, but he did not know which rat catcher it was, he went out and hung all of the rat catchers. And that was the stupid thing to do. That you can't do that. If you just practice a little patience. If you would have just held off on killing the man and maybe brought all the rat catchers in there to review him and to look at him, he would have been able to point out the perpetrator. But no, he showed his youth, he showed us his impatience, and he showed us, it's really just the qualities of a young man. He showed us that he is not yet a good and patient and kind king. And I think the thing that put him over the edge and why he went on and fired Otto Hightower was when Otto compared him to his father. And we already know that he has this thing in his head about not wanting to be compared to his father because his father was thought of as a weak king and he does not want to be weak. Like much of us, he has daddy issues. Like much of us, he has issues with the past and he wants to come out and be his own man, be his own king, and be thought of as strong. And he thought that this act, if he did not respond quickly and emphatically, that he would be thought of as weak, and he did not want that. So he went out there, acted impetuously, and did something really, really stupid. And Otto let him have it and let him know exactly what was going on. I'm surprised that Joffrey Jr. didn't kill him for that, but I guess they have a better relationship than that. So he didn't kill him. He just fired him and gave his job to Christian. The second thing, number two of the things that I like was the girl power team up. We got the Black Queen and the White Worm. We got Rhaenyra and Mysaria coming together. I love this. I saw it. I got sad when it looked like Masaria was leaving. I hope I'm saying her name right. I got sad when it looked like she was leaving because I was like, Rhaenyra needs someone that she can trust, someone that she could be down with, somebody that's going to have her back and look out for her. And when I saw their interaction, I liked their chemistry and I thought that they would be a really good team up. So when I saw her leaving, I was like, oh man. But then when we saw the twin coming in and she noticed it and we knew that she was going to turn around and go back, I was like, yeah, Rhaenyra got her person. It's kind of like the Queen of Dragons in the Game of Thrones with what was her name, Asandi, or whatever. You know how they were together all the time. How she always looked out for Daenerys, and Daenerys always looked out for her. I thought that that was a really good relationship, and maybe just maybe we'll be able to recreate that same type of relationship with the Black Queen and the White Worm. Black and white. I mean, it's just a perfect thing to do. Perfect literary device and perfect way to move on with the episode. So I really like that, and I can't wait to see what they do in the future with that team up. The third thing was the Arik and Eric fight. The twins fought against each other. Again, it was the only action in the entire episode. It was the only thing of consequence that happened in the entire episode. And that's part of what's the problem with the episode is when the biggest set piece, when the best thing that happens in your episode is a fight between two people that nobody really cares about. It's ridiculous, you know, but the fight was a good fight to watch. I was watching it and I wasn't sure which person was Arik and which person was Eric, which one was on Team Rhaenyra and which one was on Team Aegon. I could not figure it out because they are identical twins and they look just alike. But the fight was entertaining, and it went down. It went down differently, and it was quite a surprise from what I thought it would be because I thought that when one of them would kill the other, and then Rhaenyra wouldn't be able to trust which one it was that won the fight. And I was like, oh, that's going to be a very interesting thing. How is she going to handle this? Is that Arik or Eric who won the fight? So it could be Arik who won the fight, and he's just acting like he's Eric, and they wouldn't know the difference, you know. So would she have to lock him up anyway? Would she have to keep him jailed anyway just to be safe? Would she have to send him away anyway just to be safe? You know, we wouldn't know. So I was really interested in seeing what happened, but it ended up ending differently than I thought it would end. I think my way would have been more thematic. My way would have been more interesting, but they didn't do it again. They killed them both, so I still don't know which one won. It could have been Arik who won, just feeling so bad about having to kill his twin brother that he laid down on his own sword. I don't know. We don't know which one. And then normally I like to give you 3 likes, but in this one I'm gonna give you 4. I'm gonna give you a bonus like. I do like how they try to humanize Aegon. I think it's a little bit too late, and I don't think they did enough. But that moment made him more than just a cartoon villain. And the moment I'm speaking of is the moment when Alicent walked into the room towards the end, and he was in there crying. He was hurt, and he was hurting, and he was crying in there. And Alicent saw that, and they let us see. They let us peek behind the juvenile. They let us peek behind the crazy. They let us peek behind the impetuous. They let us peek behind the cartoon villain and see an actual person there. This is the type of story that needs 2 sides to choose from, where some people is choosing one side and some people are choosing the other. And right now, I think the way they're writing it and the way they're doing it is very clearly one side is the good guys and one side is the bad guys. I think they have Rhaenyra as the good guys and the Hightowers over here as the bad guys, green and black. But I don't think that the story should be that way. I think the story should be a Team Jacob, Team Edward type situation where some people choose Jacob, some people choose Edward. I think some people should be choosing black, some people should be choosing green. And I don't think that they're properly balanced right now. I know that that's something that they want to do. And I think they're trying to do that with Daemon because in this episode, they really made him a jerk or whatever. But, you know, Daemon, do you agree with what Daemon did? This, that, and the other. Even with what Daemon did, I'm still fully on Rhaenyra's side because, she is the rightful queen. She should be the queen. That's who the king wanted to pass down. They usurped the throne and took it from her, and she's trying to get it back. Daemon did something stupid, but she's still the good guy. Even with that being done, she's still the white knight. She doesn't like what Damon did, you know? So, and so she's against him. It seems like she's the good guy and Allison is the bad guy. And I just don't agree with that. I think it should be more so both of them have redeeming qualities and both of them have issues that they're dealing with. And we're supposed to choose which one. I could be on one side, you could be on the other, but we should be able to make that argument between the two. And they're not doing a very good job at balancing that out, I don't believe. What I did not like about this episode, there was barely any action. Barely any action. The show is more of a political thriller than a fantasy action show. And I didn't sign up for that. I didn't sign up for a political thriller. I understand that we're dealing with kings and houses, and there's going to be some behind the scene political actions and things like that. But that is supposed to coincide with the action. That is supposed to go along with everything else that's happening in the episode, with all the flying and dragons and all the other stuff. That's supposed to be a good secondary device that we're supposed to lean on, not the main thing. That should not be the main focus, is just this political thing. If I wanted that, I would watch something else, not House of Dragons. It's called House of Dragons, not the House of Intrigue. I don't mind a little intrigue, but it should not be the main thing. The House of Dragon needs to learn how to keep the main thing the main thing. And that's where we're falling short. I understand that it's great books, but you read books for different reasons than you watch TV shows. If I was in the mood to sit down and read a book, I would read through 50 pages of intrigue and trying to figure out who did what and when and why and all this other stuff. There's no problem with that. But when I sit down to watch an action TV show, I want to see some action in my TV. And right now, we're just not seeing that with House of Dragon. And it's very, very, very disappointing, honestly, in my opinion. I watch other people and other reviews and stuff like that, and people are liking this. And I'm like, I just don't like it. I feel like I'm out here on a ledge all by myself saying it, and I don't want to be that way. I want to like it. I got into this because I got so sick and tired of people who did reviews and stuff, but they seem like now that it's a job that they're negative about everything. And then my first show that I reviewed, the first two episodes, I feel like I'm negative about the show, but it really has been a disappointment and it hasn't lived up to my own the show. And that's what I think. Number two of the things that I did not like about the show, Sir Criston Cole taking out his guilt on Auric. Yo, Criston, now, this is such an interesting point because Criston is going through a crisis. You know, he's a white cloak, and part of being a white cloak, he's an honorable, or he wants to be an honorable man, and he's always wanted to reach the position that he is in. And now he's a white cloak. He is the King's Guard, the captain of the King's Guard, and he's reached everything. And now he has to defile his beliefs with the queen. And I think that that's killing him, and that he's going through this. Not only does he feel bad about defiling his beliefs and going against his code, but he also, while he was going against his code, that someone died, a child died under his care on his watch, and he feels like, you know, if I hadn't been doing what I was doing, I would have been able to prevent this or whatever. And that's getting under his skin. And that I can only imagine the turmoil that's going on in his mind. But that does not give you the right to be a jerk. Listen, I say this all the time. Your trauma and the things that you've gone through does not give you the right to make other people's lives miserable. I cannot stress that enough. I cannot push that enough. That's in real life, in books, in TV shows, and in movie. Your real life issues give you no right to make other people's lives miserable. And that's exactly what he did here. He has his own issues. You know, hurt people hurt people. So he has his own issues, and then he sends poor Auric off on a suicide mission, knowing that it's a suicide mission, just to try to make himself feel better. Man, come on. That makes you so unlikable. That makes me root against him in every which way, form, and fashion. And it makes you the bad guy, and it makes you a bad guy. And the fact that King Aegon went along with this plan is absolutely, it just, y'all are like mustache twirling villains at this point. It's ridiculous, And then he guilted them into it. It was his watch, but he says he died on your watch. He's putting off all of his own issues onto poor Auric and made poor Auric go off to his death. And it was needless, it was senseless, it was a stupid plan, as Otto Hightower said, and yet they did it anyway and they went along with it. I mean, there's no way they're going to win a war with Rhaenyra and the people that she has on her side thinking and strategizing the way they're thinking and strategizing without someone like Otto Hightower in their corner, or if they don't listen more to Alicent and get Otto back, they're not going to win this war. They don't have the minds on that side to win a huge Dance of Dragon war. I just don't believe so. So something has to change. Number three, Daemon. I said it earlier and I'm gonna say it again. He was a real jerk in this episode. The way he sat there at the council meeting, knowing that it was him who caused all this ruckus and caused all this issue, and he seemed quite pleased with himself. It was just the way he played it with the little smirks and the little he gave off slimy. And are they trying to make every guy in this show a bad guy, a villain? Is only the girls, can only the women have positive qualities and be good leaders? Is that what we're doing with the House of the Dragon right now? Is that how this show is going? Otherwise, because I'm not going to watch it. I don't mind having strong women led characters. I don't mind it. I love it. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is my favorite show of all time. I think it's the best show of all time. So don't come after me. But what I'm saying is that why is it that every single guy on this show is just a jerk? We already talked about Kristen Cole. Now we're talking about Daemon, and we're talking about Aegon, and we talk, Otto Hightower earlier, he's been doing he did some shady stuff. Even though I like what he did in this episode, he's also done a bunch of shady stuff. We got nasty feet guy, Littlefoot. We got Littlefoot, who was just creepy. You know what I'm saying? We had the two guys that killed the baby last episode. Let's just find somebody to kill. It seems like every male person in this show. And then when you look at the female characters, they're all, better than life. They're all, we got Rhaenyra and we got Mysaria and we got Alicent, and all the ladies, man, seem like they rocking on all cylinders. I mean, doing well. It seems like, so I don't know if this is something that they meant to do or something that they're trying to do. I don't know if there's some sort of agenda behind it or whatever, but I don't like the fact that I can't look at one guy on the show and be like, man, that's a great guy. That dude right there is a stand-up individual. It was supposed to be, you would have thought it would have been Kristen Cole, but nope. You'd have thought, hey, I want to root for Daemon. Nope. I mean, who am I going to root for? You know what I'm saying? It's absolutely crazy. The kid with the one eye, Cyclops. He's horrible, man. Every male in the show is horrible, a horrible example, a horrible lead. It's just horrible, So we don't have any good males to root for. I don't mind rooting for Rhaenyra, but godly, I mean, is all men in Westeros trash? Is that what it is? Where's our Jon Snow? Where's our Ned Stark? Where's our redeeming fella in there that's cool and that's good, that's at least wants to try to do the right thing? I just don't think we have it. Not in this show, not right now. With all that being said, what I would do differently, I would do a couple of things differently. First, action, 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 action. First two episodes, the only action thing that happened in the first two episodes, real action, was the killing of a baby, which was done off screen and really was no action. And number two was the twin fight that happened. That was a great fight scene. It was a decent fight scene, but that's it. And two whole episodes of an action-packed fantasy action show. We have one fight at the end of the second episode. One sword fight. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing else. Tell me if I'm missing something. I mean, I didn't fall asleep during the episodes. I watched them all the way through. Uh, Tell me what else happened. Absolutely nothing. What is going on? And tell me this, y'all. Tell me this. Where was all those people at when the two guys was walking through the palace in the first episode, going up to kill the baby? It was utterly empty. And then the beginning of this episode, boy, they had so many people in that, all these soldiers running around, and they had dogs, and they had all these people that they was getting. Where were all these people at? It seemed like in the first episode, the palace had been totally emptied out. It was abandoned or something. The only people in there was the royal family or something. They were walking around there so freely. And then all of a sudden at the start of this episode, it was all these people. When it first started, it kind of threw me through a little. I'm like, where were all these people at? What was going on? Why weren't these people there originally? I don't get it. I don't get it. You know, I don't get it. I don't. I don't know. You have so much that you could do with this show. You have so many great paths to take, and this is what we're choosing to do. And 2 episodes in, I'm really disappointed. The last thing I would do differently is I would humanize the king a little bit more. They did it a little bit this episode, you know, with the crime scene. But as I said before, you really have to make this into a situation to where we're choosing sides. Not just one side is good, the other side is bad. We want to be able to choose, you know, I don't know which side is actually the right side. That's the best show in a situation like this. So where I'm looking at it and I could go either way. You know, I could go with what Aegon believes, or I could go with what Rhaenyra believes. I could go with what Alicent believes, or I could go with what Daemon believes. You know, we want to be able to choose. Again, we want our Edward Jacob choice that you're not giving us in this show yet. Right now, you're giving us cartoon bad Aegon, Junior Joffrey, and Queen Angel Rhaenyra can't do anything wrong. You know, and that doesn't work. You know, that doesn't work for this type of show. I just don't believe it works for this type of show. We need to have there needs to be some ambiguity in it. It needs to be some, you know, there's some things about Rhaenyra that I like. There's some things about it that I don't like. There's some things about Aegon that I don't like, but I can understand where he's coming from. I see what he's trying to do. He's young, he's impetuous, but you know, he loved his son, he loves his children, and he's still trying to do what's best, what he thinks is best for the kingdom. And I don't think that they're really scratching that itch. They're not doing that very well, where we have a true choice. Right now, it's good against bad, not just two parties with different opinions going to war with each other because they both think that what they believe is the right way to go forward. Well, that's my thoughts on this particular show. Listen, if you like this conversation and I want to continue to have it, please like, share, and subscribe. I want to grow this channel. I want to have this conversation with more of you. We have been getting a little bit of feedback, and I appreciate it. And I try to answer as much as I can when I can about our ideas and what I think about the show. Listen, if you agree with what I've said, I want you to tell me what you agree with. If you disagree with what I said, tell me that too. I want to have the conversation and I want to talk about it because maybe something you say will make me rethink what it is that I see in the show. And maybe it'll change my mind about it. But right now, 2 episodes in, and I'm still pretty disappointed with it. I haven't had that wow moment. I haven't had a moment where I was like, man, I can't wait to see the next episode. Like right now, I wasn't in that much of a hurry to watch it. You know, me and my wife, we were watching a different movie. And we finished watching that movie, and then I watched the episode later. It really shouldn't be that way with Game of Thrones. It really shouldn't be that way with the House of the Dragon. Not a show with dragons. And knowing how much of a fantasy show lover I am, a show with dragons, I should be wanting to watch this show. And we're going to push all the action back till probably the mid-season, episode 4, episode 5. We'll probably have one big set piece, one big dragon fight, and then we'll have one other one later on, like towards the end, either the penultimate episode or the last episode. I don't think that's the right way to do this show. I understand money-wise, you don't want to spend that much money, and there's some things we want to do. I just don't think it's wise enough because I don't think you're keeping the people's attention the way you want to. One dragon fight in the first 2 episodes would keep me going, and you haven't done it. Give us something. Give us something, please. Please give us something. All right. Well, I appreciate you. Come back and see me next week while we talk about House of Dragon. All right. Peace.